Little background story on me. I grew up in the country. When I was a little kid, our address started with the RRT. I mean, rural route. I don't know what the T meant, but RRT. That was our address because we was out in the country. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought everybody's address started with a rural route, RRT. And then once I got older, started understanding, I realized the rural route was for people who lived out in the country. I was blessed with being raised out in the country. Now, if you were blessed with being raised out in the country, then you know kind of the setting I'm about to talk about. When I go to work every day, I get to pass by the community store in a little community, not the community I was raised in, but the next door community. And me and Dad would stop in there probably about every week, grab a little something to drink, walk in. I mean, this is like a working community store. This store used to have a barbershop in the back, had a bench out front, gas pumps out front. You go inside, you get anything you need to eat. You need to get you some little snacks. Like you can get bread and whatnot like that at this little community store. That's back before Dollar Generals and whatnot like that was in the country. On my way to work the other day, I got to stop in this community store, and they got little breakfast biscuits, and I went in there and got me one. And as I was checking out, I looked up and I realized there was something missing out of that store. The brag board. If you had a community store where you growing up, you remember the brag board that would hang up in that store. You kill a deer, I mean, you would hustle down there to the brag board and make sure your picture got took and put up on that brag board. I was talking, and now this topic right here fell perfect with today. I had a friend of mine stop by the store that I work at. I scored a deer that he killed from out of state, and he and I were sitting there talking. And I said, man, you remember that brag board? He said, cuz I couldn't wait to get a deer down there every year to put on that brag board. Him and his daddy was always on there. And we were talking, he said, I bet the owner at the time, I don't want to call anybody, he said, I bet the owner at the time like it went broke buying Polaroid camera because, man, we'd fill up that brag board, we'd start another, and I miss them old days. And as I'm checking out, I'm thinking, why is that brag board gone? Why don't we do that? When I realized social media is our brag board now. And then as I do, I start just dissecting what I'm thinking about. Y'all probably have gotten tired of me dissecting because I get on these little, I don't know, man, it's weird where my mind goes. But it ended up on this question. How much has social media changed the way we hunt? And in essence, and really, I guess the larger question is, if there were no social media, no way to brag other than the little community board, you shoot a deer, you take it home and nobody knows or sees it or nothing. Would you still hunt the way you hunt? Would you still hunt the way you hunt? Would you spend the money on the stuff that you spend it on? Would you do what? I mean, how would that change if there was nothing for you to grip and grin? That's what I'm talking about, basically, is the grip and the grin. Would you change your style of hunting? Because, I mean, sometimes I tell you what, and I'm not editing this at all. Everything you hear is just straight off the cuff. Y'all remember on the Outdoor Channel? I don't watch Outdoor Channel anymore. This is my personal opinion on this. It's an infomercial. I realized that several years ago that while we were watching people hunting, it was basically an outdoors-based infomercial. Okay? So I quit watching that junk. But do you remember the television show they used to have called For Love or Likes, where they would have contestants, and it was usually a female contestant? And now, as I'm a girl dad, I kind of see how sexist that was. Okay, but it was always a female contestant that would come on, and I think it was always female. I don't believe I ever saw any guys on it. I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. And they would put them through a series of outdoor related activities to see how comfortable and good they were at it. And in the end, they would determine a winner, and if they actually love the outdoors or if they use the outdoors for likes. Now, that's a tough one, because how many of us use the outdoors and sitting behind a big rack and all that for likes. I got another friend of mine who is very predominant on social media, and I'm not going, like I say, I don't like to get people involved in this, that, and the other. But their question was, what is your opinion of pro staffs now? And basically, she was just asking her friends, and she's got a lot of following, and a lot of them said, I think what a lot of people now see is that the pro staff members are perceived to be just grip and grunners now. You know, they're not. Are they hunting, or are they just standing in front of a camera modeling? You know, and so that kind of also led me down this path, I guess you could say. So how would it change you? I mean, if you couldn't post anything on social media, you couldn't advertise, or you couldn't do anything. You couldn't show the camouflage you're wearing. You couldn't show the bow that you're shooting. You couldn't do any of that. You know, everything you've got stays in-house. How would that affect you? Would you still buy? Would you still do what you do? Would you still spend the money to go out of state and hunt? Would you still spend the money to go hunt in a high fence? Would you? You go to that high fence, you spend $15,000, $20,000, you shoot an amazing animal, nobody knows about it. It goes to your house, sits in your office maybe. That would be the biggest brag, is it sits in your office. Would you still do it? There's your question. I don't know how people feel about what I'm talking about, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you love hunting, or does it kind of get you likes? Question. I mean, I like the guy I talked to today, scored that big deer for. Scored that deer. Nobody knows about it but me and him. Well, there's going to be a couple people going to post it on social media. He said, Greg, I just wanted to kind of, see what it scored. He got it at 158 and 4/8. Great, big, nice Kansas deer. But he does it because he loves it. He does it. He went out there and hunted this deer, got this deer. I think he went and, they knew the deer was around. I mean, it was about like hunting anywhere else. They knew the deer was around. He hunted the deer. He strut. In fact, he wouldn't even go in one day. I think he said he was walking in because the trail camera showed that the deer was already at the corner. He's like, God, I want to blow him out. So he pulled out. He's hunting. He's doing it because he loves it. And I tell you what else, he'd kill it with a crossbow. There you go. Hey, he do what he wants to. Ain't no skin off me. God, I still feel bad about that crossbow video. Not bad. I just could have been a whole lot nicer on what I said. And we talked about that. No more. No, ain't no sense in beating a dead horse, right? But I've asked myself this question. Greg, what would it change on you if you couldn't post anything to social media? Would you still hunt the way you hunt? Absolutely. I'm not a big buck killer. And you know what? Me and my friend were going across today, and I said, he asked me if I had any big ones tied up. And I said, I don't have that desire to chase big deer anymore. And y'all can call me crazy. I don't. And I honestly believe it's because I handle so many racks that are 140, 50, 60, 70, 80 every year that it's just kind of, I don't know, man. It just kind of burned me out on, I don't know. It's weird. I hunt still. I love to hunt. Don't get me wrong. But I don't go out there and do everything I can to beat the bush to get a big buck. I kill what comes out. If I want to shoot a doe, I'm going to shoot a doe. I love to shoot does. Now, I'm not going to shoot a small buck. I don't do that. I save those for people who will really get a whole lot of kick out of it. But, mature buck comes out, good 8-point. Usually around here, we're going to get anything from 115 to 120 is a decent 8-point. Okay. A mature 8-point, I'm going to shoot it. I'm not going to burn tags waiting on a 160. Again, like we said before, your reality has to meet your expectations. Expectations have to match your reality. Reality is there's not a whole lot of 140s out there. And, if I get a good buck on camera, I'm going to shoot it. Or a good buck on camera, good buck in front of me, I'm going to shoot it. But I love it. I'll always love it. It's instilled in me as a young man to love it, because I remember how important it was to get your picture up on that brag board, how much we loved it, and how much we appreciated it, and how much we'd call each other and say, man, I saw your deer down there at the so-and-so at the store, and we talk about it. There wasn't a, why'd you shoot that? Wasn't none of that. So there's your question. How has the social media aspect and angle of hunting changed the way you hunt? My name is Greg Hicks. This is the Antlers Nicks Podcast. And as always, I'm going to encourage you guys to live your life past 20 yards. And we'll see y'all next time.